but we're certainly seeing that specialization of sport at a younger and younger age. I've got a nephew now that's age 7 years old, and he's playing baseball year round. And I had a conversation with his mom and my sister and his dad, and I just said, "Hey guys, that's not healthy. You need to have him play some other sports, and the other sports will help him in baseball. I know baseball is his passion, but certainly he needs to rest." As a 7-year-old, he just got done playing his 110th game as a 7-year-old. I'm like going, now that's kind of insane to me. So they do have him entered in another sport here. He's taking some time off away from baseball now, but yeah, that story is what I'm hearing more and more of, and I think there's there's got to be some risks and acute injuries developing, especially at such a young age.
Well, the repetitive injuries of pitching year round. And I think you even see some statistics for the more southern climates where people do play baseball year round. They have higher incidence of certain elbow injuries and things like that, where the kids up north, they just don't play as much.
Right. Yeah, I think you're seeing that. Dr. James Andrews in Birmingham has got some white papers on that. Allowing the kids' growth plates to have rest and grow, and you're talking about that repetitive injury, especially with pitchers, no doubt. But even with other sports where you think about the torque that is created during a baseball swing or a golf swing, you got to give the body a rest and get away from that particular sport for at least a couple of months. I mean, look, if the major leaguers are doing it, they have a 3 to 4 month off season. Now they're training, they're doing some strength and conditioning training, but they're typically a pitcher is going to not throw a baseball for a couple of months in that off season. So if the major league players are doing it, certainly you got to think, your own child at age 7 to 15 should not be playing year round.
Yeah, mentally as well. I was primarily a basketball player my whole life, and then I came to football late as a junior in high school. But basketball players make great receivers. Like they've handled that basketball and dribbled, and I mean they can catch anything with one hand, and from that perspective, and also too from footwork and staying low. All of the functional things that a basketball player needs to do really translate well to the football field. And I would say though that it probably doesn't go the other way, because the fine skills of basketball players aren't necessarily trained from playing football. I think it's interesting that way. I look at basketball players and when I think about just all of the sports, of course, baseball is very, very specific skills. I mean, you can't. I mean, there's timing and there's just certain coordination that, like you said, it's different. It just looks different when you see a kid that has the stuff to play, and they don't even. There's not, they just have that raw talent.
Right.
But I think that, the diversity of those experiences, different coaches, being on different teams with different kids, I just think it's all the way healthy. And as we all want our kids to do as well or better than we did, and we see other people regrading their kids, moving them from one school to another. That was something that never happened growing up, regrading kids to move them to another school so that they could have another year to train and be more competitive. We see that all the time now in our area here in the Carolinas. All of these things, and parents just want to give their kids the best competitive advantage that they can with their peers, their cohort that they're competing with.